Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be.
All right, so the next topic that we're gonna do, I'm going to share my screen and we're gonna talk about this one real quick, which is what we were talking about leads into this, which is, can you see my screen? Uh, you guys can see my screen? Okay. So as you could see here, and this is the part that I wanted to talk about. So as you guys can see here, it says here on this is statistics. This is from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, right? And according to this, the age adjusted suicide rate in 2020 uh, was 13.4 per 100,000 individuals. The rate of suicide is highest in middle-aged white men. All right. And in 2020, men died by suicide 3.88 more times than women. Okay. So, and on average, there are 130 suicides per day. White males account for 69.68 of suicide deaths in 2020. And in 2020, firearms accounted for 52.83% of all suicide deaths. Okay, so that's here in the United States. Who knows how much is around the whole world? But now that we get to see the statistics, now that from everything that we talk about, how you could see like what we were talking about, how that could apply to these statistics, right? Um, what is you guys' opinion when it comes to these numbers that we're seeing right here? Because according to these numbers, from the way I'm reading them, it seems that men die by suicide three times more than women does, almost 4 times more than women, right? And but there's also a but to that, which I also read in another part. Women do have a much higher rate of attempts, not suicide, but they attempt a lot higher than men does. But men actually go through with it almost 4 times more than women do. So this is a topic that I wanted to talk about with you guys, and I wanted to see what do you guys what is your guys' opinions about these numbers and what do you guys think? Anybody want to hop in? Mr. Jalan, Mr. Suwa, what do you think about these numbers? What do you think these numbers are are telling you right here? After everything that we just talked about, which I believe a lot of it, a lot of the reasons for this is what we just finished talking about. And as a matter of fact, let me give my opinion right now. Let me give my opinion. We talked about men being traditional, right? And men being in that traditional mentality, right? So it's not a surprise to me that middle-aged white men, if you look at the statistics, middle-aged white men are the ones that have the highest rate of suicide. Because what? Middle-aged white men are the ones that are more traditional, but the world is changing so quick for them. The world, everything that they knew as a man is changing. Not only that, but then you look at things like inflation and the monetary system and how everything, a lot of these men work so hard for their family 30 to 40 years or even more than 40 years. And now inflation has eat up all their money. So a lot of them are like over 65 years old, ran out of money, have nothing to do because they can't go back to work at that age already. It would be really hard to get hired. right? And then you have those traditional beliefs. Now you are being taken care of by your daughter, by your son. Now you feel like a burden, especially if you are a middle-aged one man, because most middle-aged one men are from that traditional time, and not just middle-aged one man. Every man that's in the middle age area come from, have that traditional thing. So they all going through the same thing. Like, so you think about it. You're 66 years old. You are sitting in your house. Now you're being taken care of by your kids. You ran out of money because inflation ate up all your money that you just saved for 40 years. You realize you spent all that money, all those late nights, all those stressful days to feed your family. And yes, you got to feed them, but now you got nothing to show for it because inflation ate it up. Inflation ate all your money. Everything just went up, expenses went up the roof. You having to sell the house. You're having to sell the house that you worked so hard to get. You got to sell it now in order to be able to survive. After you work 40 years to be able to keep this house and have this house. And that's for middle-aged men. But what about the younger men? The ones in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s that now got laid off from their work, from their jobs, that are home and they are traditional. They have that traditional mentality, and they're not providing. And their wife maybe could be nagging them or whatever, and they feel like less than the men because they the ones that used to provide, but now they home, stuck at home, raising the kids, dealing with the kids, something that they probably had no skills about because they never got taught about it. So now they having to learn how to, they got to be the stay-at-home parent. And for our traditional men, and for any man that at the beginning is really tough to do that because according to tradition, man was the one going out there and work and providing. So now you are home, you being the stay-at-home mom. And that could be very embarrassing to a man, a traditional man. More modern man, okay, it's okay, but traditional man will be like, yo, I'm done. I'm nothing. I'm a piece of shit. Especially if the woman is calling him that too. Oh, thank you. But like, I believe that is one of the issues why this is happening. Right? Look at that. On average, 130 suicides per day. And men, almost four times more than women. That was
how old is the middle age?
Middle age. Let me see. It says it right. Okay. Okay. In 2020, the suicide rates were higher among adults aged 25 to 34.
35 to
And
34.
And 75 to 84 years. With the rate highest among adults, with the highest rate among adults ages 85 years or older. Look at that. People over 85 years old are committing suicide. 85. Younger groups have had consistently lower suicide rate than middleman age. Yeah, because they now in the modern times, they're willing to take stuff from the modern days. The older men cannot. The whole world changed on them. And they will not be able to adapt. And they lost all their savings that they worked so hard for. In 2020, adolescents and young adults ages 15 to 24 had a suicide rate of 0.24. And if you look at this graph, 2017 was pretty high here, right here, pretty high. 65 to pink is 70. Pink was right here, 65 to 74. And suicide methods, the highest rate for suicide that they choose, the method with the highest rate is by gun. Basically, they blow the head off. And uh,
Where did they watch that scene?
huh?
And know that's the easy way to go out. Where did they watch that information? Where did they get those information? Like for somebody to take a gun and put him in the head and blow his own head out, that's not common. That's somebody watching shows over and over, and the parents not paying attention to that child, paying attention to that thing. Because no matter what, even if you lose all those things, can't take none of them with you. We gotta identify the hurt for us to prevent this deleting mode. Is for us to start researching what are the cause, what are the effects, what's making the person just saying forget it. It's not only losing this, losing that. Where is unwanted? There's a feeling that's in their heart that they're unwanted. They're taking themselves out. So we gotta do the research on what is unwanted in those people. What was they saying? Did they left a note? What was because somebody's going to keep on doing the same thing. Let's try to prevent from repeat. Prevent from repeats. We didn't know what's going on. Let's try to prevent it. So the question is that there's any program, and in the program, is it run by the system? Is it run by the community? When we leave our tradition, because look at tradition, we've been in a harder time and we survive. We've been in a harsh time and we survive. Survive and survive and survive. And we're still standing. Yeah, things change, but we're still standing. Look what's going on now. Our grandfather or our uncle can make a baby faster than some of these kids nowadays. They're still strong because they went to pressure. The question is, we already know what's going on. Well, how can we stop? How can we prevent this repeat? That is the main doctrine. That's the main research we need to start looking at. For us to prevent things, for things from happening, an ounce of prevention is better than a mouthful of a sacrifice. What are we doing to prevent this thing? What can we do to prevent this thing? And how can we stop putting these movies that seeing kids doing this to themselves? I've seen a lot of TV show, a lot of horror movie. A person put a gun in their mouth and blow their head out. So how many suicide or people put a gun in their mouth and blow their head out? How many suicide child put a rope up there and hang his neck? Where you see that on TV? So we gotta prevent these movies being played. We gotta go back to positivity, going outside. The tradition is neighbors. Tradition is one. We as one. Modern day is individual. The reason why, how can we prevent this? We gotta go back to tradition because back then, nobody gonna let you go behind the tree and hang yourself. They're gonna go and get you down. They're gonna whoop your butt too. But now, parents are not focused on what's important. Those children and the show they're watching, the friends they're hanging out with, taking time to get to know that child you birthed. We need to find a way to prevent. Then we're looking at repeats. If we don't prevent it, we don't cut some of these things off, it's gonna be a repeat. How can you put on the radio station, or you put it on the TV, or this person delete himself? Now let's look at the person last year. Happy guy that worked for that TV show. He had kids and his wife. He killed himself. He have everything that we people trying to get to. What was going on with him? Somebody saw the sign. Somebody was aware of the time.
Which guy?
The one that the generous. One minute he's happy, the next minute he's dead. Somebody saw that. We see him repeat. We don't need to put on the news. Power Rangers, the Red Rangers. He did it himself. Now I'm getting to the point that this is just media switching things. If you have everything, what are you missing? What are you lacking? Let's fill that void up. Then we repair and put your body in the ground. And suicide, you didn't give yourself life. If you to take your own, you're gonna pay for it. The highest price, you're gonna pay for it. And the person that give you life, he gonna ask you, I ain't take it away from you, you take it from yourself. But that's my thing. How can we prevent these shows, this media showing these things, movies? If we can do that, we go back to tradition, we look out for one another, we have the best intention for one another. The community come together, we put our money together and build things. We don't look for nobody to help us build, we build our own. Everybody put $1 down, $100 down. If you got a neighborhood of 10,000 people, you put a $100 down. That money every month you put money in it. That in a year you can build things in the community. Stop being selfish and stop being selfish. I'm all by myself, but we gotta find a way to prevent this media, the shows, all these things that come out. This person died. This 12-year-old boy killed himself. That why are we putting that in the news? What vision are we telling? So somebody that feel the same way as that child, or this what God do? Because I heard somebody did it. I saw somebody did it. Not the person doing it. That's how we can prevent it. If we do it like that, we're good. If we don't do it like that, we're gonna have more. Because now what's happening is people don't understand that kids are doing this, older people are doing this, the men are doing this. Ladies, you need a man to produce. You need a man to have that structure. You need a man to have that leadership. Your father was here, he's gone. That's you're supposed to have a man. The kids are all wayward now. You can't blame nobody, but hey, it happened. Let's prevent things from repeating it. That's my take, sir.
Yeah, but my question is, what about this 75 to 84 being so high? They grew up in a different era. They went outside. They they grew up in that type of environment that, like, back in the days, like why are these people, the 75-year-old, 84-year old?
Mind if I chime in?
Yeah.
Now let me knock this one out. Just one thing, because they can't handle pressure.
Uh,
This world is pressure. They can't handle pressure. Go ahead, so it's you now.
yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, I think pressure can also be for the older ones. I think when you're that age, I think there's some regret issues that people are dealing with in their past life. I think that's some more, because someone, and that caused the pressure in someone to, over the years to just say, hey, look, I'm done, I'm off, I'm out, Another thing too, money don't make peace, but money can bring comfort. Money don't necessarily bring peace, but money can bring some sort of comfort, meaning that you can pay your bills. You financially can do things that most people can't do. But at the end of the day, are you internally happy, or are you just filling your happiness with money? And a lot of times, again, it brings comfort, yes, but sometimes there's some things that come with that, right? So you don't necessarily have any peace. So a lot of times you start seeing people, you know, may resort to great lengths because they feel like things are lost. some people, how do they deal with loss? You know, some people may feel as though they lost everything. You know, they may have made a bad investment. If you look at Enron, good example. Look at Enron. People literally jumping out of the building. I mean, at the top floor jumping out. You know, so it just depends, man. People, you got to find your peace out here, man. And for the kids, again, if you got firearms, like for adults, if you have firearms like in the house, and then it's probably best to keep it locked up, whether it needs a key or a passcode or a certain passcode, you know, maybe a key, maybe, you know, nowadays you got gun safes that has the fingerprint where it only opens up by fingerprint now. I mean, so, huh?
There's some of them that require both a key and a code, or even fingerprints. So
right. I think these are the things that people need to go, because if you make guns accessible now, where a child can just go inside the shoebox and grab your pistol and walk out the house and put it in his closet and put it in, he risks killing himself, killing his siblings, or killing potentially someone else. Because the easier parents, the easier the parent makes their child have access to a gun. Again, you know, now down south, it was different. You know, in the South, you know, kids were trained to be around, you know, guns, rifles, shotguns at that time. It was a different culture, right? This different atmosphere. You know, that was just the upbringing. You know, kids were able to shoot and learn their guns at a young age, but that was because they were learning the land, right? You know, there were, you know, animals out there, you know, they had to protect from, right? So it wasn't necessarily shooting another person. Now, don't get me wrong, if there was intruders, yes, to defend land, but not necessarily you're really hunting them or to turn the gun against yourself. Again, I think mental health is key. You know, I think people, as far as children, you got to see where your child mental health is. Does he have bullies in school? That's a key thing. You know, you got to find out, is someone picking on your child? Because if you got a gun in the house, you find out that child has a bully in there, there's a good possibility that child one day is going to get that pistol and exterminate that bully, because first of all, he's scared to fight. That child's going to be scared to fight that bully one-on-one. So the quickest way to get rid of a bully is to grab a gun. Or if you were in school and people laughed at you and people said all these nasty things about you, depending on your confidence level, depending on your self-esteem, someone could turn a gun against themselves and harm themselves. So I say knowing your child's mental health is key. You know, knowing that when your child say everything is okay, that doesn't necessarily mean everything's okay. I think parents, don't be so damn naive. When your child say, "Oh, everything is fine," don't be so damn naive. Everything ain't always fine. Always know that. Think about when you was a child. When stuff was bothering you at school, did you always tell your parents?
nope.
So parents can't be naive. You got to understand your child ain't gonna always tell you everything neither. Well, my child said everything is good in school. I didn't know. That's what you always hear. It seemed fine. That's because children ain't gonna always. You want your child to have that open talk with you, but that's not always the case. Even if your child does share a lot of things with you, they're not going to share everything. So, one, I think you got to have that conversation about bullies with your children, you got to make them aware. I think if you make your child aware of things rather than just brushing it off, or, well, if I don't talk about it, maybe it just won't happen type thing. I think self-awareness is key. Just like down south, you educate your children on the danger of firearms. Educate your children on the danger of using knives. Watch your kids. Don't. And then parents, number one, as a parent, don't always trust your children. Yeah, trust your kids, but don't trust them, because children will make mistakes. And when that child potentially it's just like a parent, right? There's some parents I know who caught their kids walking out the door with their gun in their backpack. And because that parent was so alert, so on top of their child, they said, man, come here, let me check your bag. Nah, man, I don't know what's going on, Dad. I don't know what you're talking about. Why you acting so funny? Why you walking out so fast?
I heard a
Let me check
story
your
like
bag.
that. I heard a story like that recently. Was it you who told? No, somebody told me a story like this.
Right.
That the guy was he he was gonna bring a gun to school because he needed it for protection because he was being trained or something like that, and he was walking out with a gun in the backpack, and the mom stopped him, and she was like, and she was like, "What's going on? Like, why are you bringing this to school? Why are you bringing a gun to school?" And he told his mom, he's like, "Yeah, this guy is bullying me. I need it for protection." And he's like, "No, you ain't going to school no more. You ain't going to that school." And from that day on, that kid didn't go to that school. The mom kind of like homeschooled him, took the gun away. The kid never touched a gun again in his life. But
right.
the mom was, and the kid is now, I think I saw, he's a very successful person. He ended up
Good.
homeschool, like, he went to the regular school system until he was like, until like the 10th grade or something. And then that's when the mom found out that and took the gun away and was like, "No, you ain't going to school no more. I'm gonna take care of your schooling from now on." And she homeschooled him for high school. And he graduated and from the staying at home school and never went back to school because she didn't want to be at that time, and this is a long time ago, she didn't want her son to be one of those. And she kept him home and homeschooled him and took that gun away, and they never saw a gun again after that.
See,
But
yeah. And
that's a
that's
responsible parent. And you're talking about a mom. You're talking about this is a black mother in the hood, where usually those mom, like, historically those people been in the mentality that they grew up. It's like that's okay. But this mom was like, "No, my son is gonna be different. My son, I'm not gonna let my son be like one of these kids that grow up here and don't make it to 25. You know what I mean?" My kid is not gonna be one of those. So he took that gun away, homeschooled him, and other kid is alive and very successful. He's a grown man now. He's probably older than all of us here.
hey,
Um,
that's what it takes. It just takes a little bit of I ain't gonna say a little bit. It's just the good Lord up above. You just gotta lean on him and trust him. But yes, as parents, you gotta do your best. And it's hard. Some areas it's even harder because you understand that it is what it is, So again, like I say, everything goes back to the mental health. You got to check your child's mental health. And for the adults, for the people who are up in age, middle age, and getting older, it's the same thing. Where's your mental health? The peace part. It's things. Most sometimes a person may be living with a form of regret that can weigh heavy on the heart. And maybe that person haven't forgave themselves, or maybe that person haven't seek the closure that they needed, whatever they hurting from. And it's just a built up over time thing. So those, man, I just say, man, they have to see where the peace level is. So that's my take on it.
Yeah. Yeah, um, and I'm gonna stop sharing my screen right now, but yeah, that's definitely one of the um one of the keys is, yes, pay attention to your kids, but and pay attention, you know who they are, you know who your kids are. As soon as they acting different, you notice a change in behavior. Talk to them. Let them talk to you, and let them tell you whatever it is without judging them. Let it be okay for them to tell you whatever they have to tell you. Because a lot of kids don't want to tell the parent anything because they think that they're gonna be judged by the parents. The parents are gonna get angry. They're not gonna support them. They're gonna yell at them. They're gonna punish them. But no, if you just listen and understand where your kid is coming from, and understand, me like, hey, listen, yes, this is not the right thing to do. I am not happy, but I understand what you're saying. And come here, we're gonna figure this out together. Right? We're gonna figure this issue out. But you don't have to go down this route. You don't have to go down this route. Let's figure out what we can do in a way that will keep your mental health intact, in a way that will keep you out of trouble, and in a way that uh, will keep you available for a good future in whatever you decide to do. But you need to first, but I'm here for you. Let's figure this out. Like that mom did. Okay, let's figure this out. And the thing that she came up with was like, you ain't going to that school again. You ain't going to that school again. If that's how it is in that school, you ain't going there. You're gonna stay here, and I'm gonna raise it. I ain't losing you to know some BS out there, some lie, some bully. I ain't losing you for that. Because you shooting up somebody in a school because you defended this up, the cop won't care. That cop is gonna come and he's just gonna see a black kid with a gun in his hand. And he doesn't care what the reason is, he's just gonna shoot your ass up. And that's all you're gonna be, another statistics. So and that's exactly why, that you need to let your kids tell you things without judging them. So that's one of the there's so much talent out there, so much talent, so many smart people that could create so many ideas, so many people that could move the world forward, so many kids that are so smart, that have like the smart capabilities, like they that could change the world, but then they get corrupted by the system and the environment, and then they get lost and never get found. And then just that gift that got sent to earth for earth got lost and never got to do his thing because he fell into some lie, some system. So that's but talking about that, it was a big shock for me that that men over 75 and 65 and up are, so many are committing suicide, and that they can't handle that pressure, that they taking their lives. And so many people around my age too. It's another group. And it's just crazy. And it's just time for us to be able to talk to each other and support each other and be able to allow each other, make it okay for us to release our traumas. Make it okay for us to feel what we feel and not try to suppress it by ending it. So yeah, that's it's a very touchy subject. It's a big issue, especially for men. Men have a lot of pressure and people don't understand that.
I don't wanna go to work cause my boss is a jerk and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life cause I don't feel alive and there's nothing that makes me